Sita, a fair society, the society we need. Clearly, as was pointed out earlier, and Kajsa Penny addressed us early this morning on the European Youth Guarantee. As somebody who has been so involved in this, there is a lot of, I feel, excitement about it. Many of the ECOSI and the young activists that are around, that are here, that have been working for the last 2 days as well. Why don't you take us a little bit through the process, through where things stand?
Thank you very much. I would appreciate very much our colleagues to come down just to feel more comfortable, because it's very difficult to get an eye contact at the back there. And I believe
support that
really,
idea.
Because I think it would be really nice to see all of you here. So first of all, I'm very pleased and thankful to be in this panel. Second, of course, I was really delighted to be part of the campaign, and I believe that the European Socialist Party understood that if you don't take into consideration the next generation, by the way, who cares about us? So that's also clear. So it's not only that we don't take into consideration the next generation, but of course it's also a generational problem. So it's not only a question of the youth. And of course, it was very important for me to be part, as PS Women President, of the Youth Unemployment Working Group, chaired by Kajsa Penny, and our great friend Nicolas Schmidt, minister from Luxembourg, and of course he has social employment and migration in his portfolio. And of course what was also very important, that the European Socialist Party understood it is so important to create a working group in which we have young people, young experts who knows best how to deal with this issue. And actually, after long months, this working group were capable to deliver an extremely good document in which we really witnessed what happened during the long months. And of course, I really would like to make sure that, of course, what is the role of PS Women President? Of course, to deal with women and to deal with the gender aspect of education and all the fields of that. And of course, it is also very important that there is a website. You can also find the PS guide on youth guarantee, a very detailed guide explaining how to introduce the youth guarantee, because of course it is very important for all of you to help us to deliver this message when you go home to the different countries. And that's what we also discussed during the former debate, that this is fantastic that we have good speeches and good panels here all around, but somebody has to take the message home and to do it on national level. And let's just show the positive examples. Of course, this youth guarantee exists already in Austria. And of course, in Austria, 4 years ago, they had a very high unemployment for young people. So they created a strategy. And of course, the good news that it has been being implemented in Finland, Portugal, Ireland, Belgium. And of course, our minister from Luxembourg also felt part of it. So we understood this is something good that we should deal with there as well. Of course, several countries are adopting youth guarantee or similar measures to combat youth unemployment. But I also have to tell you that we have to deal with the numbers. We have 500 million and 5.5 million young are unemployed, of course, women and men. And if we create a fund, or we have the funds on the European level, but if we just start to deal with an investment for these young people, 10 billion, you can create 2-3 million new jobs for the next generation. And we also made a calculation how much it costs. This 5.5 million young are unemployed. It costs 100 billion euro. So that's why I believe it is really crucial to take this into consideration, that we are very responsible. I'm very pleased to have two great friends at the panel, but I can tell you that it was very important when Vladimir Špidla has been our commissioner for the last cycle. He was very, very gender sensitive. And of course, the reason why within the social funds we still have got the chance to deal and tackle with this issue, this is not by chance. And as a Hungarian, of course, I'm very happy and proud that Laszlo Andor, who is the commissioner who deals with this portfolio, unfortunately gender is not in his portfolio any longer, which means that Viviane Reding, a very conservative woman, took this portfolio, which is not very good for us by women. So that's why I believe that we should take it serious, and it is very important for all of you to get this material, to understand how you can deal with, and just to take the good examples from Austrian.
And it will all be on the website that you mentioned.
It will be on the website, but if you are coming to see on the PS website. You can find really everything. And you can really tweet it, you can put it on the Facebook. So it really depends on you how you deliver the message. So would you be so kind to put hands up who is ready to help for the young to make it this campaign? Can you put hands up? I don't see it. Can you put hands up? Can you put hands up? I need everybody on the board. Thank you very much. Thank you, we made it.
Bravo, thank you, Sita. I would, before I turn to the question of money, which of course is crucial, and former Commissioner Spidla might want to address that, I would like to ask with Minister Lagumdzha, somebody who is very active in his home country in this field. What is your experience with youth unemployment, how to get things going again? If you share with us your experience as we're putting together a strategy here in the European Union context.
Well, first I think that we, as a social democrats, as a socialists, I think we should be more offensive on our playing field. Our playing field is social justice, and a lot of writers are accusing us that we don't think about economy so seriously. Maybe that's the reason why we had two panels on economy and one on social issues, because it's like something which is, you know, normal that we do. I think that we should be more strong and more aggressive, especially when we want to approach to young people, because young people are someone who by definition and by nature, they are more pro-justice. They see and they are much louder when they see inequality, ignorance, segregation, whatever they see that is not so just. My point is very simple. I think that we should hit the economy from the social perspective, and we should be more brave and more direct on it. We have to stick to the point that is so self-evident for us, and we have to promote, especially among younger generation, that poverty, injustice, ignorance, discrimination actually is stopping growth and creating unemployment. So my point is very simple. We have to approach to younger people, especially to new generation, because they're naturally on our side. Not on our side as individuals, or even as an organization, but our side in sense of values that they are going for. So we have to be much more aggressive, showing that we are representing different Europe, that we are representing different society, that we are representing different visions, different futures, different set of values. And when I'm coming from the part of Europe that is missing link in Europe, because Southeastern Europe, which is not integrated in the European Union, is actually showing that yet, but we have to be stronger, louder, just like you did about this hitting for voices. So we will be as loud as you are, I mean, to show that we are going to be much, much more aggressive on finishing the job and changing the Europe, that Europe is different, not only in the sense of square miles and square kilometers, but Europe is different in sense of values, and that future Europe is our Europe. Europe which is more just, and I'm sure when we show that we will be more attractive to the younger generation. Of course, on the end, I mean, every nations and states historically we know are growing and disintegrating, not because they lost wars, but because they lost economic power. But the fuel of economic power is social fiber of society. And we should never forget that without that fuel, which is social fiber of society, there's no economy, there's no growth.
And if I can push you a little bit further on this question of the attractiveness of this European social model. I mean, if you look at, at the world, so much is happening, dynamism, and so many people get enthusiastic about emerging economies, and the social looks like something old-fashioned in the global discourse. All those Europeans, and I'm not speaking of Mitt Romney, not even, but people that are more mainstream in our sort of understanding, where really the European way of doing things is not considered to be the best thing. Do you think Europe suffered maybe too much in the course of the crisis?
Well, 1914 is the year when World War I started. It started in Sarajevo, technically speaking, of course. And in 2 years, 2014 is a crucial year for European social democracy. I think that 2014 we have to show on 100 years of the beginning of the World War I that the world is different in 2014, but not only in sense of technology, in sense of economy. I'll quote my favorite economist who was in Prague on last Congress, Jeffrey Sachs, who had extraordinary speech. And in his one of the latest books, he had excellent line saying that we are living in a bizarre time of Stone Age emotions, medieval beliefs or values, and almost godlike technologies, which means that we have to use technology, but to promote the values and beliefs that are actually a little bit more advanced. And I think that we are on the right side of history when it comes to the beliefs. Of course, when we speak about emotions, I mean, it's an individual thing. I don't think that we have to do too much on it because it goes anyway. And when it comes to emotions, we are again coming to the younger generation. And that's the reason why I do really think that European model is attractive as much as it shows that it's our model of Europe. I don't think that right-wing Europe is an attractive model for anyone but few individuals. But that's the difference between us and them, because we think that the things can be done better together than individually. We think that the things can be done better when we work together, when we work for all of us, not when we work all of us only for us, individually. And if we show that that model is strong, then of course there will be Europe of the 21st century, which will show that we learned the lessons from 1914. And I hope that 2014 will be the, let's say, point of inflection. Because every organization sooner or later comes to the stage in which you have to either dramatically change or you will decline. I think that Europe will go in decline if we don't dramatically change by 2014. And if we are not the hope, if we are not the chance, with all due respect, I'm a little partial like all of us in here, but then I don't know who is the hope. I'm not speaking about Romney again, right?
Thank you very much. I would like to bring in, I mean, of course, the vision, I think, where to go, that is the important one. What is the objective in the wider sense? But then also the steps to get there. And there we get into sometimes nitty-gritty detail and real difficulty, as Sita was explaining and others as well. Vladimir Spitler, from your experience, and now looking back to your time in the Commission, which has been a couple of years, are you happy with how things are being pursued in greater detail?
Naturellement, quand on regarde en arrière, on voit aussi des faiblesses, mais en général, je voudrais dire que j'avais l'expérience unique, travailler au sein de la Commission européenne pendant le temps après l'élargissement. On pourrait dire que l'Europe a bien digéré l'élargissement. Il a trouvé des solutions parfois très, très compliquées, mais il a trouvé. Et encore, je voudrais signaler que si on parle de modèle social européen qui est un peu obsolète, que ce n'est pas vrai parce que quand commissaire européen, j'avais l'occasion de collaborer avec des Chinois et les Chinois ont décidé d'accepter le modèle social européen, en particulier sur le plan de retraite. Alors on voit que notre modèle est tout à fait fort. Mais naturellement, l'élargissement a causé beaucoup de problèmes par rapport à la stabilisation et stabilité des droits sociaux, sans doute. Et on a aussi causé le problème parce que des droites ont la capacité parfois de jouer l'un contre l'autre. Et parce que chez nous, il y a des différences qui sont parfois assez grandes, parfois c'est très utile pour la droite. Mais en général, je voudrais dire que j'ai vu le progrès. Peut-être le progrès pourrait être un peu plus rapide, mais en général, c'était toujours possible.
Thank you. I'm really just sort of trying to balance the ambition with what is possible, and I would like to challenge Zita a bit on this, if you allow me. I mean, you're really in the daily business of getting things moving in times when budgets are tight. How can you come up with a vision? How can you really find the space to implement policies that, in the view of maybe many politicians, and I'm speaking myself as part of the younger generation at this point, is not maybe the most urgent need because they consider themselves to be in a sort of different age group, you know. How can it be done, Sita?
Okay, so first of all, I strongly believe in good redistribution. which means that, of course, we can recall that it's not only about having more funds, but using them more efficiently. And of course, that is really a key question. Our commissioner, who is not belonging to our party family, he understood very slowly that they should act much easier. So as they haven't had any concrete plan how to tackle with this issue. And of course, for instance, when budgeting the implementation of a youth guarantee, be it at national or European level, it is crucial to put in place gender budgeting in order to make sure that women are always taken into consideration. And I'm very pleased. It's not because I am a special fund for Austria, but of course Austria has dealt with the gender budgeting, and of course as a good practice, and of course we recall the PS Women Annual Conference by Katharina Luger, policy advisor at the Austrian Ministry of Labour, that they are capable to do it. And of course now the youth unemployment in Austria, if I'm not mistaken, is 9.6%. If you compare with the Greek, when every second young are unemployed, or when you see what's going on in Spain, every second are young employed. If you see Hungary, it's 30%, same in Italy, so we have a huge responsibility on that as well. And of course, when bankers still receive enormous bonuses, the wages of most citizens decreased over the past years. The question is, that is also a question for us. What about equal treatment? Because I believe that if you don't take this serious, then of course nobody else will do it. So that's why I could repeat what Martin Schulz said during the day, that you feel on your own skin whether there is a right-wing leadership or there is a left-wing leadership. When we had the first Barroso committee, and my friend Vladimir Spidla was part of it, we had a much stronger voice and it was much more gender sensitive. If you just see what happened with the Lisbon strategy, it was very gender sensitive. If you compare what happened with the EU 2020, we have serious difficulties concerning these issues as well. So I strongly believe that we have to put it on the agenda. What we did as the group, and of course I'm very proud to be the member of the S&D group led by Hannes Svoboda, we organized an event. I want a job and I want now. So then we have to find solutions now and not tomorrow. So that's why it is very important that we have the concrete proposal prepared by this working group, and of course the past presidency adopted. So we have the tool in our hands. So that's the most important. And as you all agreed earlier that you are ready to do this campaign, that you should understand what we wish for. And European citizens should understand that that is the European Socialist Party who cares about the young generation. After when we started this campaign, the left-wing EPP really started to make some nice slogans, but they are always very good in slogans, but we are very good in actions and in the proper work. So that's why I believe that we have to go and campaign in Lithuania, in Germany, and in all the other countries, just to make it sure that socialists are back, because then the next commissioner, who has to be a social democrat, has to make the difference. But we need everybody on the boat for that.
Vladimir Spidla, and this is... We have a fiscal compact, we have a stability and growth pact, and what we are missing is something that balances out these social aspects. So the draft resolution has elaborated on the idea of the social pact as a counterweight to that. Could you explain a little bit more, or reflect on what elements, from your point of view, of such a social pact should be? What are the steps towards a real social union, and can it be done at this point in time? Because just looking back a few years, when the Lisbon Treaty entered into force, everybody was happy to say, well, eventually it's enforced, we don't want to touch this again. And suddenly there is room open to discuss again, to bring in, and that I think is a huge opportunity. So with regard to the social compact.
Je crois qu'il y a naturellement beaucoup d'éléments qui sont très concrets, on pourrait les discuter un peu, mais en général, le concept est que l'Europe, c'est plus que marché unique. Oui. Ça veut dire des questions économiques et sociales doivent être au même niveau. Jusqu'à ce moment, les questions de marché unique sont plus fort que les questions sociales. Selon moi, le changement de traité peut être un amendement de traité qui va dire très clairement qu'il faut avoir la société, les questions sociales et les questions économiques au même niveau pour être le concept le plus large. Mais naturellement, on a beaucoup de choses qui sont moins générales, mais aussi importantes. Parce qu'on a libre circulation des travailleurs et on n'a pas la portabilité complète du système de retraite. Dans le système de retraite par répartition, on a plus ou moins ça. Mais dans le concept de retraite par capitalisation, on n'a pas la portabilité. Et beaucoup de gens, par exemple en Irlande, aussi aux Pays-Bas et dans beaucoup de l'autre pays, ont une grande partie de son pension de systèmes qui sont capitalisés. Alors, c'est une question tout à fait claire. Comment assurer le droit à la retraite et à la pension partout en Europe, dans tous les systèmes qui existent. Vous pouvez imaginer aussi, il y a des maladies rares. C'est tout à fait impossible pour certains types de maladies avoir dans tous les pays le même niveau de traitement. Mais on pourrait l'achever au niveau européen, l'autre moment. Le troisième moment que je voudrais encore mentionner, ce sont des conventions collectives transnationales, parce que la plupart, pas du tout la plupart, mais beaucoup des entreprises sont tout à fait transnationales et ils essayent aussi de jouer des ouvriers l'un contre l'autre. La possibilité de bien faire des conventions collectives au niveau européen va faciliter la chose. Alors, si je voudrais terminer, le concept est clair. Porter la question sociale au même niveau que des questions financières et économiques, au même niveau, je voudrais dire, tout à fait clair, et aussi élaborer le système de la protection sociale plus européisé. Et naturellement, on pourrait aussi élaborer le concept de revenu de minimum européen et comme ça, il y a beaucoup de choses à faire.
I would like to address the question to probably all of you, but the question then being, what is the right balance of national level and European level? I mean, the European budget is, can I say tiny? Small. It is tiny. On this question. Of course, nation states take the main responsibility. When we're looking at those questions of having a strong social policy, again, Minister Lagumja, should the state play more of a role in guaranteeing, for instance, in light of the rising unemployment throughout Europe, to play a stronger role in creating new and better jobs? Is that something, for instance, investing in jobs for young people or long-term unemployed? Does it ask for a greater role of the state from your point of view?
Well, as I said, I mean, the major point is that we have to show that we are different in any way. And I think in that way we have to show very bravely and courageously that we are different. We've been always accused that we are fishing for a stronger role of the state. What we have to say is very clearly that we don't think that government will solve, any government or state or European Union will solve all our problems. But we have to be very clear that the way they see governments are creating the problems the way they see it. So we don't think that we are not we are not in favor of more government. We are in favor of government which puts people first, and which is not the case in their case. Second thing is, I think it is very important that we have to be clear with we have to show that we are different when it comes to goals, means, tools, mechanisms, and individual actions. And we have to show that it is not enough to do your best. It is first you have to define what do you want to do, and then do the best. If you do the best in a wrong way, like they are usually, we have witnessing a lot of their scenarios, we have to be aware that we show that we very clearly know what has to be done. In that respect, I think that we should, at this stage of the, let's say, institutional strength of European Union, there is more than obvious that states have to do more and take more responsibility. But we should not underline, and I think that with stronger role of European Union in supporting such a projects in between states, on regional level and so on, we can go for the real solution of the problem. And the bottom line is, since I'm so, like most of us, in favor of certain approach, certain system of values, set of values, certain vision of the future Europe, when we are so full of ourselves, we should never forget that on the end, we are not entitled to success, we have to earn it. And that's why I think we have to be more clear with ourselves being different.
And on the scale between 1 and 10, the extent to which we are different and what we actually want to do, the vision, where would you place?
On a scale 1 to 10?
1 to 10.
Which is big difference, 10 or 1?
Well, 10 would be, wow, we really know where we want to go and there's a lot of clarity. And 1 is, well, you can just imagine.
Well, my point is simple. I think that we are on a scale of what we understand what we are for, and what they understand what they are for, we are closer to 10 than them. But on a scale of how much we are articulated in showing to the young people how different we are, I don't think that we are as successful in our set of values and our system that we are promoting. So I think that we have to communicate a little bit more. We have to show more courage and more creativity in order to communicate that we are different and then we are better, which is not enough that only us know that.
Yes, Sita, please. Yeah.
But we should need also a clear political will. But to have a clear political will, you need the grassroots debate. You have the debate on the grassroots level with the civil society, with the party activists, and I'm very happy to greet PS activists here as a founding mother of them. But of course, it has to be clear that this is good for the society, because we made a very serious mistake during the financial, economic, and I would say moral crisis, because it's a type of moral democratic crisis as well, that we didn't say that now we have less to spend. So ordinary people have to understand that now they have less to spend. So we have to have a redistribution with less. So that is also part of the game. And honestly, we were not clear enough. Do we have enough debate within our own party families, how we deal with this issue? Of course, we should need more debate on that as well, because we should explain ordinary citizens that this is a completely different climate after the crisis. But the crisis also gives us a good possibility how to manage things completely differently. And that's why we should really make the difference between us and them. And of course, we have to be much more visible on what we see, because concerning this youth guarantee, we are the front runner, but we have to keep to stay the front runner on that issue.
I'm glad, Zita, you raised the aspect of activists' roles here, because it was part of the round table yesterday. And indeed, the question that was put, and I would like to put it to Minister Lagumdzsa, was pretty straightforward, saying, well, what is it to be an activist for social democratic parties today? And how can we build up a stronger activist base for social democracy again? I think, put it simply, and a very crucial question. What are your reflections?
We cannot import 100 million Chinese to be our voters, or 100 million or 10 million Indians or whoever. We have to work with who we live with. We have to show that what we are for is something which is logical in the time that is in front of us. We have to show that our opponents are expecting that our ship will be sailing on yesterday's winds. And we have to show that we are something which is logical path to the future. And second thing is, I think that we have to go in their, so to speak, constituency, which they think is their natural constituency. I think that we have to do everything in order to, as someone wisely said, we have to, among ourselves, all of us who are living in one state, one society, we have to do everything in order to extend definition of us and to shrink definition of them. So we have to move people in with that few very clear messages that, as I again and again am saying, we are simply different.
I would like to, Zita, yes, just two-finger intervention, because we're getting a bit tight, and I want to bring Vladimir Spila in again. Please.
And I did equal treatment, but I'm the only woman on that side.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily you are here. Okay, so concerning the PS activists. So first of all, as I was part of the PS activist forum yesterday, I understood that we are in a moment when we should rethink what is the next step, because we will have the next European Parliament election 2014. So that's why I think as we have a new leadership, and I'm very proud to be part of this, or to stay in this leadership with my friend Ruari, because we will be the old talented in this team. But we really have to see how can we do it better, because the reason why we created this PS activist movement, because we wanted to sell Europe in a different way. And that's why I believe that this is really high time to pass this message on a different way. We really have to find out how, because when we thought about this at the first time with Paul and with Philip and with Ruari, of course we thought that this is going something via internet. And then we started to have the first city groups and bigger groups, and actually they are our really engine, I would say, next to ECOSI, who do the job for the party. And that's why when I got the message yesterday that something is not perfect, I asked them, please let us know how can we do it better, because we, Social Democrat, has to listen first you, and then listen to you again, and then make the strategy with you, not without you. Otherwise, we cannot get this election campaign.
Thank you, Zita. One last question to Vladimir Spidla, and that relates to the role of the European Union and I mean, as we said, budgets are not giant, far from being, but do you still see a stronger role for the European level in this, and how can it be done? If you look at the current negotiations as well of the budget, is there leverage, is there room for improvement on short term?
Regardez, en général, si on regarde le plan mondial, on voit tout à fait qu'il y a des superstars. Par exemple, super-États des États-Unis, Brésil, l'Inde, Chine, comme ça. Et si nous voulons avoir une position qui est solide, on n'a aucune chance d'être sans l'Union européenne. C'est tout à fait clair. Peut-être certains pays peuvent avoir encore des illusions, mais ils sont très peu, je dois dire. Et si nous voulons être forts et efficaces, on a tout à fait besoin de renforcer le niveau européen. Malgré toutes les complications qui sont tout à fait réelles, il faut la fortifier. Et si on parle que nous voulons avoir la politique économique européenne, est-ce qu'on peut faire politique économique européenne avec le budget 1%? Si nous voulons vraiment progresser, il faut de certaines façons fédéraliser l'Europe, Barroso a bien dit. Et si on va dans cette direction, on doit renforcer le budget. Et par exemple, si nous aurions le budget de type des États-Unis, alors plus ou moins 20% de budget de PIB de l'Union européenne, la politique économique va arriver tout à fait presque automatiquement. Alors, je pense qu'il faut vraiment renforcer le niveau européen. Encore des petites notes. Est-ce que les États membres ont l'économie qui est purement nationale? Du tout. Est-ce que le marché du travail est purement national? Du tout. Est-ce que nous pouvons nous défendre en tant que des États nationaux, des États membres un par un? Du tout. Alors on voit tout à fait qu'il y a des questions qu'on ne pourrait pas résoudre sans l'Union européenne. Et un des problèmes de l'Union européenne est qu'elle n'est assez forte pour la situation actuelle.
Merci beaucoup. We have run out of time, essentially, and there's so many things on the micro level that we haven't discussed. I have so many questions on my list on pensions, wages, basic income policies, bonuses, social housing, education, equal access, public services, all of those questions that have been discussed in various forums, I'm sure. We couldn't do this all here, but I will give the chance to Minister Lagumdzha and Sita Gomay, if she wanted, and Vladimir Spila for one very final quick round of comments. 30 seconds. Minister.
Well, by education, I'm computer scientist. I'm professor of that. But I joined politics 2 decades ago, and I realized that the world cannot be better because of technology. And since I'm professor in School of Economics, I understood that the world cannot be different and be better and cannot survive only with economy. And that's the reason why I underline again and again that we are representing the shared society's values. They are segregating society values representatives. And as much as we promote those two things and use economy and technology to promote those things, we will not be better, not will be more of us, but the mankind will survive. If we let technology and economy to run over the values that we are fighting for, basic principles, shared society versus segregated society. If that in Europe does not prevail, shared society, then we have much bigger problem than its financial crisis. So that's my final point.
Thank you. Vladimir Spila.
Je voudrais dire que les valeurs pour lesquelles on ne se bat pas vont disparaître. Alors si nous ne voulons pas laisser disparaître nos valeurs, il faut se battre pour eux. Alors, il faut être combatif. C'est mon opinion.
Merci. Very last and final word. Sita Gomay.
Okay. Yeah. So as we are in a deep debate concerning women in boards, and of course that is an issue that our Commissioner Viviane Reding took it on the agenda. And I just would like to make it clear that you make noise enough all around the Facebook and Twitter to make it clear that if it's clear that every second human being in the European Union would like to have more women representation in board as well, then ministers from Britain to Hungary cannot make a declaration without knowing, by the way, the document of the Commission, just to say no for women. I think we are grown up, and I was just smiling when I read a nice article last week, and actually it was in the Hungarian press, that half of the Union managed an attack against strong women. So I believe that we are women enough, strong enough, and men strong enough who will understand that that is our goal, to make more women in board as well. Thank you.
And that is your applause. Sita Gomay, Zlatko Lagumdzha, Vladimir Spila, thank you very much. Thank you.